What's up, you guys? It's Jonno! Welcome to another episode of Pokemon Legends ZA. Today I want to show you how to get Diancie in a moonball, and we'll also do a build guide for Diancie. So one video with everything you need to know about how to get Diancie in a moonball. Okay, first off, you need to actually get a moonball, and it is one of the rewards available if you reach rank A in online ranked battles, and you have to win a battle with place 1 or place 2. So you have to be first place or second place in the battle, and you could get a moonball. Second up, you're going to get the Diancie and the Diancite from the mystery gift area, but only if you have purchased the DLC. Sorry everyone, this was not a free Pokemon. They did lock it behind a paywall, and once you get the DLC and install the content, then you can go over to mystery gifts like I did here, and it will give you the Diancite, which is great. Go ahead and get that Diancite, and it will unlock the ability to get the EX1 side mission. That's right, it's a side mission that has a different numbering and naming structure than all of the other side missions, which is pretty cool. So once you go ahead and get that side mission, it will put the marker on your Looker Bureau, and when you come over to Looker Bureau, then you'll be able to talk to Mimi, and you'll get a side mission with Emma and Mimi, which is actually a pretty easy side mission. I'm not going to go through the whole thing here. There's nothing challenging about it really whatsoever, but we will cover the one little tiny challenging part of it, which is where you could kind of get lost. So basically this is story mode, and you're going to go into this kind of long-ish story with Emma, and you know, it's fine that it's long-ish because it's a whole lot of story for Diancie, and you know, it's a legendary Pokemon, so I think it's worth it to give it its own little side story and a little bit of extra love, so to speak. But yeah, did you see that side mission name? It's EX1, so very interesting. I wonder if there will be an EX2. Why make a whole new naming and numbering structure unless you're gonna have multiple in the series? So yes, I'm thinking that maybe we'll get more Pokemon in this kind of side mission structure, which I actually really like. It's gonna add more content to the game. Now, here's the part that I was promising earlier where you might kind of get a little bit lost, but hopefully not too bad. Mimi will lead you directly to the holo lift that you need to go to, and once you get up on the rooftops, you should be able to use your jumpy thing to jump over to the other side. So really not too much trouble here, but you could potentially get lost if you didn't know to do the jump, or if you didn't know to run all the way over here past the spider web. So a little bit of a guide here on this portion, but the rest of this side mission you should find incredibly easy. So the next thing that we need to do is actually fight Diancie, and this is the part where it gets incredibly hard. Now, I had to do this for about 42 minutes straight, and I did have to take bathroom breaks during that because it's a really long time to sit here and try to catch Diancie over and over again, but that is what I had to do in order to catch Diancie in the moonball, because as you may or may not know, the moonball has the exact same catch rate as a Pokeball, as long as you're catching a Pokemon that it's not effective on, which is every Pokemon that doesn't evolve with a moonstone. So anyway, it's kind of crazy how limited that is, and they made a whole ball just for that one specific use case. Kind of makes me think that we need an EV ball, right? But anyway, just make sure that you have your moon ball or whatever ball you want to catch it in. I also considered catching it in a love ball, and you may also want to drop down a save right here. I think that that's probably a good idea, and there's nothing preventing you from putting down a save. So I do recommend to put down your save right in front of Diancie, just so you have the minimal walk time and all that stuff as you go through and reset over and over and attempt to do this fight over and over again. Now, here's the actual battle, and it's not particularly hard as long as you're well set up for it. I highly recommend having Waterfall on Gyarados because you have the area of effect, which will take out the other Carbinks and clear all of the gemstones off the field for you, leaving just the Diancie. This ended up working out perfect for me, but it definitely took me all of my 42 minutes to figure it out. I definitely didn't figure that out in the very beginning, and after my 31 attempts, I was able to catch Diancie in the moonball. So that was really exciting for me. 31 attempts, 42 long minutes with breaks. So the battles are actually pretty quick. They were much quicker than doing Xerneas, for example, but they were also very challenging because there's a bunch of different things on the field, and once I finally figured out that you could clear everything in one hit with Waterfall, it made my life so much easier. Alright, so just keep in mind that I did edit out all of the other 30 attempts and I only showed the one. I just thought you guys probably don't want to watch all the other attempts. I'll just let you imagine it. It was basically the exact same thing over and over again. So now we have our Diancie in all of its glory, and once you get this thing out and take a look at it, you'll realize this this is an awesome Pokemon, so it's really cool that they gave it to us. And it's also kind of an interesting mix of rock type and fairy type, and it's a physical attacker from what I can see. So this is a really interesting build. I had a lot of fun putting it together. I got really creative with it. So let's go ahead and dive right in now to the build portion of this video. We're gonna build the perfect Diancie, and the first thing we need is going to be an Adamant Mint. So this is my favorite sprig of mint location, where you can buy every different sprig of mint all in one spot. It's a nice little farmer's market over by the sushi restaurant, and we're looking for an Adamant Mint, which is going to set you back 20,000 gold. So hopefully you've been stacking money in ranked battles like I have, and once you give your Diancie the Adamant Mint, it will change it over to positive on attack and negative on special attack, which is going to be perfect for what we're working on. And you'll notice you've already got a perfect attack IV. Diancie does come with 3 perfect IVs, so that's really nice, but we're going to go ahead and max out all of the IVs for Diancie and get it hyper trained. So our next stop is going to be the dojo, and we'll give up 2 or 3 bottle caps so that we can get this thing maxed out. You don't have to max out the special attack, but sometimes I like to do it just because it's fun to have a perfect Pokemon. It truly is perfect with all the perfect IVs, even though I'm not going to use special attack. And if you're low on bottle caps, then just skip that IV for the best efficiency. Now that we've got perfect IVs on this Pokemon, we need to max out the EVs as well, and we can do these using items. These items are easy to obtain at the Pokemon Center. They are quite expensive though, so once again, hopefully you're rich in the game. You can get rich from a couple of different ways, like grinding restaurants, or by grinding ranked battles, or by grinding the unlimited ZA Royale. This build focuses heavily on attack and HP. So first up, we're going to max out the attack using the protein, and then we'll use the HP ups as well. It takes 26 of each of these items, which is very expensive, and then you've got room for one more little tiny bit of EVs. And I always like to show this mode here where it has the 2 perfect stats, but it still shows gray. And then once we give the last little bit of EVs and we go back and look at the EVs, it will show gold, and you'll have the 2 perfect stats and the tiny little bit of extra EV that we got from the speed that we just added as well. So once we get done with that, we need to level up Diancie all the way to level 100. I just want to unlock all of the moves. You don't have to go all the way to 100 if you don't want to, but I just go ahead and do that anyway because I've got the extra rare candies. Not everybody will be as stacked as I am for money and items. I did get stacked this way from doing ranked battles, and it only took me about 6 hours of grinding to get many of these items. So if you grind ranked battles here and there a little bit, it's definitely worth it, but just make sure that you're getting first or second place on almost every battle. That's the main key. Okay, so we have got the Diancite added. That's the Mega Evolution Stone. Don't skip that part. Make sure you attach it to your Diancie. And then the last step that we need to do for this perfect Diancie build is to add our attacks. So there's many different attacks to choose from, and you've got some really good options. You definitely want to go with Stone Edge. That's a physical attack, and you want to take off all of the special attacks as well. So some of the attacks that it comes with, like Moonblast, we won't be able to use. So we'll swap those out for physical attacks that look pretty good as well. There's many different physical attacks to choose from, so I'm going to show you a bunch of different options, and depending on how you play, you might like one option more than another option. And please do let me know down in the comments if you come up with any of your own combinations, or if you just find any of these combinations particularly useful. The main thing we need to get is a stab move, which is same type attack bonus. So we want to have a fairy move that is physical, and there's not very many of them, so we really only get to go with Play Rough, and we're going to go ahead and put Play Rough over there next to Stone Edge. And then of course you've got your signature move, which is the diamond move, so you definitely don't want to take that off as well. And you can tell that Diancie is a physical attacker because the signature move is a physical attack, so that's a really good clue right there. But we had plenty of other clues that this was a physical attacker as well, especially because it came with a perfect attack stat. So in the absence of any particularly good moves, we can always go with Swords Dance and just continue boosting our attack. That's always a safe play. We can also go with Protect. You really can't go wrong with Protect. It's a really good move to just round out your moves. If you're looking for more physical power, you can go with Rock Slide and Rock Tomb, although I don't necessarily recommend those because you've already got plenty of physical power. So as you're sliding through all the different moves you've got available, you definitely have a lot to consider. we've got plenty of rock type coverage and plenty of fairy type coverage. You may not be able to get much more coverage than that, but going with stab moves is always really important because you get that same type attack bonus. So we can go with these stab moves and just really double up on rock and fairy, and then we can use the rest of our 5 teammates to do any other kind of well-rounded coverage that we need. This might also be an excellent Pokemon for possible future events. Now, I'm not saying that there will be events. We don't even know that there will be events, but just the fact that there are ranked battles in this game kind of gives us a good impression there may be events. Also, because there's a DLC, we may get some events as well. Although, honestly, if there was going to be events in the game, there would have already been events by now, but they've been just giving us little bits of gifts here and there. Nothing like a real major event like a Mewtwo that you can battle and catch, but I'm really hoping that we get something like that in the DLC. So this is my final moveset. I went with Stone Edge, Play Rough, Diamond Storm, and Protect. You can see my final stats are gold. We've got the max EVs. Like I said, once you add that last little tiny bit of EV past your 2 perfect stats, that's when you get gold. And you can see we are hyper trained all the way up to the max. We've got max EVs, max IVs, best moveset, Megastone Evolution, and we've got the Adamant Nature. It is a perfect Diancie build in a moonball. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful for you, and if you learned something, please smack a like and subscribe for future videos. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you to all of my amazing subscribers, and peace.